MAGA foreign policy goes like this: Israel first, Argentina first. MAGA domestic policy is own the libs. That's it. That's the list. And what's happening in Argentina should be the canary in the coal mine for all of the MAGA voters who voted because of inflation and they wanted to be able to get further ahead in their jobs. They were sick of income inequality and they felt like Trump, for God knows what reason, was somehow going to be the change agent. And so what we have right here, put up this headline, Kylie, is Trump has extended a $20 billion line of money to Argentina to stabilize Javier Milei's failing economy. And you may be like, why the fuck does he care about this guy? Why are we giving Argentina $20 billion? Well, it turns out Milei is a huge MAGA thumper, and he went all in on muskanomics. He's a muskanomics guy, and you have Elon Musk and Scott Bessent. Trump has no economic plan. He has concepts of a plan, but he's never had an economic plan because he bankrupts everything. So here's what happened in Argentina. Pop this up, Kylie. Economic collapse, and then we're going to have a U.S. bailout. Milei assumed office in December of 2023 amid hyperinflation and economic chaos. He pushed a shock therapy agenda: deregulation and spending cuts. He basically eliminated a bunch of departments and did exactly what Elon Musk did with Doge and what Scott Bessent and others, Howard Lutnick and Trump, all continue to do with the United States economy. He issued a mega decree to slash regulations across the economy. Economy was extremely fragile, capital flight and currency pressure, so all investors left Argentina. Over 1 billion sold to defend the peso, and he drained the reserves. And now Milei is seeking $20 billion U.S. bailout and aid package. This happened in 2 years.
Yeah.
This happened in 2 years, and this is the exact plan. This is muskanomics, this libertarian, cut all social services. We're so smart. We're going to fix everything. And now the United States of America is bailing out Argentina, and you have people whose social services have been cut. And it seems like every single time I turn around, Pumps, this administration puts Israel first, and it puts Argentina first. And you have a bunch of Americans who voted for this man, who live in rural America, that they voted for him because they think he loves the country and he thought he was going to help them. And he lied to them. He lied his ass off to these people. They were nothing but a transactional vote for him. Meanwhile, their hardworking dollars are going to Israel to kill kids and to Argentina because they elected a dipshit.
Well, and it just, all we hear about is that rural hospitals are closing. Younger people can't buy a house. We've got people on social services because they work full time, but the minimum wage is so low. And I look at this and I think, if we don't have money to fund education or hospitals or Social Security, we're taking money that people put into the government and we're saying they can't have it back, then why the fuck? Where are you getting the money to bail out a foreign country? If you can't help your own citizens, why are you doing it to other people? And then I think it's because they don't give a shit. They don't care.
Yes. And Kylie, put up the Midas Touch tweet. MAGA told us over and over again that Milei was bringing prosperity to Argentina. They used MAGA propaganda machine to highlight his austerity politics as a model for the U.S. Now that the outcome has been devastating, they are making the United States bail out their failed experiment. End wokeness in 2023 when Milei was running for president. All he had to do was stand next to a "Don't Tread on Me" flag, because that hits hard in MAGA. And End Wokeness tweets, holy shit, Argentina just elected Javier Milei as their next president. History has been made today. And Elon Musk says prosperity is ahead for Argentina. We're 2 years, a year and a half behind them right now, you guys. Elon Musk went into the federal government and they did this exact same thing. The big, beautiful bill is this exact same thing. So then that leaves me the question, who's going to bail us out? Because last time I checked, everybody hated us because Kanks is so unlikable.
Right. I mean, no one's going to bail us out. They're going to celebrate.
So picture this. Barns filled with unsold soybean, corn rotting in storage, and families even begging Washington for a bailout just to survive another season. These aren't farmers from decades past. These are American farmers today, and many of them, once Donald Trump's most loyal supporters, now they say, they've regretted the very vote that helped put him in office.
Hey everybody, well there it is folks. Argentina is selling all of their soybeans to China now because of the tariffs that Trump has initiated against other countries. And it's not that Trump has initiated tariffs on soybeans to China or anything like that. It's just China's like, we don't need you. So there it is, $47 billion that would have gone to the 500,000 American soybean farmers are now going to Argentina. Now, American farmers, almost 80% of them voted for Trump. So if you have 500,000 soybean farmers, that means 400,000 of them who are now on the verge of going bankrupt voted for Trump. And I saw in another TikTok video, I'm not prepared to talk about it, but this guy was really good. I really should give him a shout out. I will in the notes or something. He came across my feed that there's this company called Acre Trader. And guess what they specialize in? They specialize in buying up distressed farms. Guess who's a major shareholder in that? J.D. Vance. So, while America is giving $20 billion to Argentina to prop up their government, American farmers are out of almost $50 billion. Not a single Chinese order has been cut on soybean farms this year. It's absolutely incredible. And Trump is destroying the American farmer. It's just crazy.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I need you blue state liberals to stop calling the farmers who voted for their own personal financial ruin stupid. It's infantilizing. They aren't stupid. To actually manage a farm effectively requires insane depths of knowledge in math, science, logistics. These people aren't dumb. But what they are learning, for I think in some cases the first time in their lives, is how expensive racism is. They heard Trump loud and clear when he said that he would deport their labor force and that he would tariff essentially all of the inputs they need to run their facilities. And they absolutely heard him when he claimed over and over again that the US gave too much to the world in aid, and therefore those aid streams, which most often include the food these farmers grow, would be cut. They heard it all. They just didn't believe it. They thought this was just Trump 1.0 and there would be enough adults in the room to say, hey, this is reckless. We can't do this because it will dismantle the economy. Yeah, a lot of farmers were hurt during the first Trump administration. Thanks to his reckless trade wars, particularly with China, a lot of them went bankrupt. And the bailouts that originally happened under Trump's first term didn't mostly even go to these small-scale farmers. It ended up going to big agribusiness. And I have a feeling, if past is prologue, we're gonna see that happen again if bailouts happen at all. Because the reality is these people do not actually want to save these small-scale farms. People in this admin, like J.D. Vance, very specifically invested in things like Acre Trader. Their goal is for these farmers to go bankrupt so that they can consolidate, buy up huge swaths of their land, and make a fortune. So I'm not gonna lie to you, there is very little incentive for anybody in this administration to actually give these farmers a bailout, no matter how angry and white and male they are. I doubt there are any farmers listening to this at the moment, but the billionaires do not care about you. They actually just want to take your stuff. So even if a bailout does come, and I doubt an effective one will, but if it does, it is going to be meager enough to keep these people in dire financial straits. Because the goal of a lot of these billionaires and investment firms is to make them desperate enough to sell. So you can say goodbye to small-scale family farms, that's for sure. What's kind of funny about this is that Let's Go Brandon tried to bail you out for real. And that's probably the last time anyone will, So
let me get this straight. Trump runs his mouth as usual, pisses off China. China then goes and buys soybeans from Argentina instead of us. Our farmers get screwed. Their profits vanish, and now they're begging for a bailout just to survive. Am I getting that right? And what does the American first president do? Does he send the money to help the farmers? Fuck no. He ships $20 billion to Argentina instead, while our farmers struggle to survive. Can somebody please tell me how this is America first? Because it seems to me like America last, and everybody but his diehard cultists can see it.
Yeah, I want to jump on the bandwagon of saying that I regret my vote for Trump. My whole family does. My husband and I own a farm in Ohio that was funded through the Inflation Reduction Act, which Biden signed into law. And now the executive orders from Trump are rolling back all of that funding for us, so now we can no longer afford our farm. And when all that happened, it was like a lightning bolt hit my brain, and I realized that I shouldn't just be voting for myself, that Trump's policies and EOs are hurting millions of people, but it took it affecting me personally to understand what I had done was wrong. And I think it's really important for anyone to come out who voted for him and is now negatively impacted by the executive orders, or maybe you have friends or family, especially in minority communities, who are being very heavily impacted by what's going on right now. So yeah, I think it's time for us to stop being so selfish maybe, and to vote for what's best for the country instead of just in our tiny little bubble, because we're all in the same boat now and we're all equally screwed by our new president.
So farmers across the Midwest and South are facing one of the harshest squeezes in modern memory. Markets are collapsing. China, once America's top soybeans buyer, has stopped importing US crops, instead turning to Brazil and Argentina. Costs are even exploding. Fertilizers, fuel, and equipment prices have skyrocketed, pushing family farms deep into debt. Weather extremes and floods have wiped out harvests, making the crisis even worse. Trump now promises bailouts funded through tariff revenues. But here is the irony, actually. Those same tariffs are part of what triggered the crisis in the first place. Many farmers are calling it a cruel cycle. Hurt them with trade wars, then offer them a lifeline that may never even be true, or that may never save them. And to make matters worse, the administration has sent financial support to Argentina, America's direct farming competitor. While US farmers are left begging for relief, that decision has set off outrage across rural America. Farmers feel abandoned, betrayed, and politically, expendable. Some are speaking out in town halls and interviews, admitting openly, "We regret voting for Trump. He promised prosperity, but all we got was pain." These aren't isolated voices, they are spreading across America's heartland. The question is no longer whether farmers are frustrated, it's whether their anger will spill over into the ballot box and reshape political map.
Can we just talk for a minute about the Arkansas soybean farmers? Arkansas voted 2/3 for Trump. Trump had promised to implement tariffs. Trump then implemented those tariffs. China has retaliated, and because our soybeans, the tariff war made our soybeans too expensive, they decided to buy their soybeans from Brazil, signed 20-year contracts with Brazil, and now for a generation, the Arkansas soybean farmers are screwed because they lost their biggest soybean customer. And they are demanding compensation. Demanding. I mean, I almost admire it. I almost admire the audacity. But they said they don't really like taking government handouts, but, they really don't have a choice. And they are demanding that we compensate them.
If I see another farmer on TV crying and whining about their situation, I'm going to go insane. Let's get into it. So I'm kind of piggybacking off a video I saw yesterday, the day before, from Middle Aged Rider. Go follow him if you're not doing it already. He's got good content. But I am just so sick of seeing farmers crying and whining because they can't sell their soybeans or whatever crop they've got. I'm going to remind you what these same fucking farmers were saying back in 2019 when the same bullshit was happening, and they still showed up to vote for this fucking maniac who tried to overturn an election, who got convicted of felonies, found liable for sexual assault. They had no problem showing right back up for this motherfucker, and I'm going to show you why. So back in 2019 and 2020, you can see here that farmers were giving billions and billions of dollars of straight cash payments, checks written of $100,000 or more sent straight to them. Look, $28 billion in 2 years, all because of his trade war. You can see here, farm subsidies jumped to their most in 14 years back in 2019. This farmer here who was interviewed could not sell his soybeans to China because of Trump's tariffs back in 2019. And then he said, Trump money is what we call it. It helped a lot, and my understanding is they're going to do it again. So yes, boy, they loved that government money coming to them, didn't they? Shows right here. Thousands of farmers got more than $100,000 each. Roughly twice as much as the actual harm. I mean, they was just throwing them money. And now they want to come back 5 years later, whining and crying and bitching and moaning. I'm so sick of it. I'm going to show you a farmer from North Dakota right now who did a damn interview, and she tells you just exactly how fucking selfish they all are.
Jager says that ever since the August 1st tariffs took place, she's been worried about her income, loans, and bills. She says that she's never had to worry before about her crops not having a market. China, which usually buys the largest amount of soybeans from U.S. farmers, has stopped because of tariffs.
Out against everything, knowing that agriculture in America needs an international market, it's just really unfair. You know, how about you look at the items that you really could tariff that won't affect so many people?
I mean, are you fucking kidding me? Tariffs for all of us. She don't mind that. Tariff everybody else, but don't tariff us. I mean, completely selfish assholes. Everybody saw what was coming. If you are a fucking Trump voter, I'm out of empathy for you, okay? You deserve to live with the fucking consequences of the decision that you made, just like everybody else has to live with the fucking decision that you made.
We are being forced to bail out another country's farmers at the expense of our own. DC plans to send Argentina $20 billion in economic assistance. And what does Argentina do? They cut their export taxes and sold shiploads of soybeans to China in just 2 days. Meanwhile, farmers right here in Arkansas are left behind with falling prices and no market. I have been an Arkansas soybean farmer my entire life, until this year, when a deepening farm crisis forced my family to close a 150-year-old operation, and we weren't alone. And now this is coming for even more of us. Politicians like Tom Cotton are letting DC put Argentina over places like Arkansas. As a farmer myself, that is something I would not allow. I will fight for trade policies that put Arkansas farmers first, every time. I'm Hallie Schaffner. I'm the 6th-generation Arkansas farmer running to unseat Tom Cotton in the U.S. Senate.
Guess who just got the tea about what's going over on MAGA sides, specifically with the farmers in Arkansas? Child, them Trump tariffs is kicking their asses so bad that at the most recent NEA meeting, representative assembly that took place on Friday, the farmers in Arkansas all collectively broke down in prayer. They started calling on to God. They started calling on to God because they cannot trust that Donald Trump is actually going to keep his word. See, the big beautiful bill, which a lot of these Arkansas farmers voted for, and the Trump administration is currently renaming because it did not accurately describe what was in the bill, promised a lot of the people in the agriculture industry benefits that a lot of these businesses will not live to see as they all take effect in 2026, 2027. Late 2026 and early 2027 to be exact. But like I stated, a lot of those businesses will not be around long enough to see it come into fruition. Apparently around that time, a quarter of the farming industry in Arkansas will be out of business. And y'all already know that I always come with the evidence. I always have the clip. So stay tuned for the clip provided by ABC7.
The government steps in to save them. Farmers had no one to turn to but God.
So they're closer to daily meetings on the server because we deal with your earth every day. You know, we're hurting you. We can't deal with what's happened to us.
Dear Lord, we are hurting here, Lord. We can't help what has happened to us. You actually could have helped it because you could have voted against it. Y'all could have voted for Kamala, but like you stated, she has a weird laugh. And here's a screenshot of the article. You can go and find it. Let's read along to the title. People have little sympathy for the Arkansas farmers who are asking Trump for emergency funding to save their farms. And because they can't trust on Trump to actually come through with these emergency funds, they started praying. I probably should have highlighted what I'm about to read, but it's in quotations at the top. It says, I have never been as worried as I am now about whether or not my kids and grandkids will be able to carry on. Welcome to the mentality of the average Black American here. Welcome to the mentality of the average Hispanic Latino person here. Welcome to the mentality of the average marginalized group member here in America. And to think that all of this could have been avoided, had you just listened to those same marginalized groups. If you would have just listened to the Black Americans here in this country, to the 92%, if you would have just listened. And now, ironically, the same tool that you used to oppress the marginalized groups in this country, the Black Americans in this country, the formerly enslaved people of America, religion, Christianity, prayer, is now the only tool that you can rely on, because you can't trust in your government to look out for you. You can't trust in your government to help you. How fucking ironic. And just a reminder, because I know y'all like to forget, right? Anytime, historically speaking, by the way, the Black Americans of this country stated that they needed help, they wanted to be treated fairly, they wanted equality, you told them to pray harder. You sent them to church. You told them to pray harder. That if it's really meant for them, all they had to do was pray harder and God was going to hear them. So that's my advice to you, you farmers in Arkansas. Pray harder, okay? Just keep praying. However, I do have a strong inkling that we are not praying to the same gods. I know the God that I pray to. There's only one. I don't know what you're praying to, but pray harder, okay? God bless America.
Oh boy, let's talk about how Trump is screwing the farmers. I have a lot of soybean farmers who are my clients, and this is really bad news. Caleb Ragland, who's the president of the American Soybean Association, he said farmers are heading into a harvest season without a single order from China. 25% of soybean farmers' crops are usually sold to China. The prices of soybeans are down 40% because of what's happening under the Trump administration, and production costs are rising. I'm tying in the Trump administration to this. This Soybean Association president is still speaking up Donald Trump. 500,000 soybean growers in the United States exist and are being severely impacted by this. They're having to now rely on loans to get them through the season. There are 231,000 jobs associated with soybean farming, harvesting, transportation, storage, you name it. And he says the impact on the local rural community that depends on the farmer is going to be severely impacted. South American farmers, soybean farmers, are filling the gap. China is just hop-skipping over the United States, and countries like Brazil have got it completely covered. No wonder Trump is attacking some of these other countries south of us. But then he went on to reiterate that Donald Trump loves farmers and that he supports Trump. And he says that the Trump administration told him to tell the farmers to be patient. I just want to explain what the soybean farmers are looking at. Harvest season is right around the corner. Imagine that there's a machine manufacturer that is on the brink of bankruptcy, and they've got a whopping $50,000 in the bank. And they've got to make a decision. Do we keep hiring people to build this one machine in hopes that we can sell it and make that money back? Do we drain that $50,000 and go into debt, hiring employees, purchasing materials to make it happen, run our facility to make that machine, pay for transportation costs to ship it out in the hopes that we'll have a customer for it? That's what they're facing. They've got to hire H2A workers, those nasty, nasty brown-skinned people, and I'm being very sarcastic, that's how MAGA looks at them. There's truck drivers that haul the soy. There's storage facilities with silos that store them. The farmer pays to have them stored. They're going to tell them we have no room because we're storing 10,000 other farmers' soy products that are not being sold anywhere. Like, this is so fucking devastating. And when I saw that farmer in, I believe, Arkansas, crying, this is a grown-ass man with gray hair. Donald Trump, we love you. We need your help. This is what MAGA doesn't get. Don't leave a seat at the table expecting Donald Trump to come sit down and talk to farmers. He will only sit at the tables that have billionaires and Project 2025 folks. He's only focused on their agenda. And the Project 2025 agenda includes changing the American farming industry that's going to fucking screw every American farmer. He's not going to come and have a seat at your table. Just be patient.
Some great news for farmers. Their prayers and protests have finally been seen by the Trump administration, and now they're going to be saved. The ones in Argentina, that is. This week, Trump's Treasury Secretary announced a $20 billion economic support deal for Argentina. And right after that, Argentina suspended its export taxes on soybeans. The result? They sold 20 shiploads of soybeans to China in just 2 days. Meanwhile, in the US, farmers are harvesting in panic mode with no buyers in sight. China hasn't purchased US soybeans since May. As Caleb Ragland, president of the American Soybean Association, put it, the frustration is overwhelming. I still don't understand what you and all the other Republican farmers are so frustrated about, Caleb. This is what you literally voted for. U.S. soybean prices are falling, and farmers read headlines not about a trade agreement with China, but that the U.S. government is extending $20 billion in economic support to Argentina. Well, unlucky for you, you're going to have to wait till the next Democratic president gets in. Trump is helping farmers, just not the ones in America. So much for America first.
This is terrifying. What? Farmers across America are going bankrupt. They're calling it farmageddon. Good. Serves them right for supporting Trump. You still don't get it, do you? Where do you buy food? The grocery store? And you think food prices are bad now? Just wait. Tariffs have decimated farmers. What do you think happens when you start ridiculous trade wars with other countries? They get mad? Yeah, understatement. China's the world's top soybean buyer, and soybeans alone brought in $13 billion for American farmers last year. Now those sales, almost all gone. Yikes. And that's not all. These immigration crackdowns, some farms lost 100% of their workers, all kidnapped by ICE. Now, how do you pick food without workers? You can't. It's rotting in the field. Whoa. Plus, seeds, feeds, machinery, potash, pesticides, all more expensive than ever before. Then you add on high interest rates, and what do you get? Farmageddon? Bingo. And farmers were already 3 times more likely to die by suicide. Ugh. And don't forget, in 22, JD Vance's venture capital firm heavily invested in Acre Trader, an app specifically designed to buy up farmland for cheap and sell shares to investors. Wait, so the goal is want to control people? Control their food. So what do? Thoughts?
So here we are, America's farmers, once backbone of Trump's base, are now begging for bailouts and wondering if they were so they lie. So, should taxpayers foot the bill to bail out farmers caught in this trade war? That's the first question. Secondly, do you believe farmers will truly turn against Trump at the polls, or will they stick with him despite their anger? And most importantly, is it a farming crisis or is it a political one created by broken promises? Tell me what your thoughts are in the comment section. Do well to like the video, share, subscribe. Don't forget that these videos are for educational purposes only, and credit to all original creators. I'll see you guys on my next video. Thank you guys.